Welcome to the Jarvis Sam Show. I'm your host, Jarvis Sam, and this week I am joined with a very special guest. This month I've been focusing on Black entrepreneurs and just the Black Wall Street movement, and I couldn't think of a better person to speak on the Black Wall Street movement and Black entrepreneurship than the gentleman I have opposite of me, Brother JayJones. How you doing?
I'm good, brother Jarvis. Thank you so much for having me on, man. Much appreciated.
So I've been listening to JayJones. He has this podcast called Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, and it drops every Monday. And I've probably listened to it every episode for the last 3 years, every Monday. So like I was telling Jay before we started recording, man, like I feel like I connect with him every single day or every single week because of the content he delivers, and he's so consistent with the content. It's every Monday, Jay is dropping, and I respect that consistency so much. So I'm sure some of my listeners already listen to you and are familiar with you, but for those that aren't, Jay, tell them who is JayJones.
I'm gonna give you the black story, the real quick one. So, from Philadelphia, PA, grew up in a middle class family. Parents divorced when I was 7. So, I've seen single family household, single parent household. Did what everybody was taught to do: go to high school, go to college, and get a good job. But along the way, my dad was an entrepreneur, so I saw that. And I always knew that eventually I was going to branch out into entrepreneurship. Didn't know exactly what it was at the time. And subsequent to working in the financial services sector as a stockbroker for Dean Witter and Merrill Lynch, then I went out on my own for my first business. Had a lot of failures, built over 17 businesses, 2 multi-million-dollar businesses in the process, a couple of garbage businesses, almost lost it all twice. Mm-hmm. And, I've been blessed to be able to use all of my experiences to come back out of that and be able to actually what I call live in my genius, which is the intersection of my passion and my talents, and being able to monetize that through the podcast and the ecosystem around Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. So, Jarvis, like what I like to say, man, is there's theory and then there's practical application. So everything I talk about on my show comes from my experiences or the experiences of my guests. So, I don't really deal in theory too much.
Okay, that's awesome. So you mentioned pinpointing and monetizing your genius.
Yeah.
Talk to the people about what that means. Give us a little more on that.
So that was a concept. It's not a new concept. I just coined that: pinpoint, monetize your genius. The book is coming out, but your genius is the intersection between your passion and your talent. So we all have talents and we all have passions. The problem is we don't know how to monetize that. And so I think if everybody had their druthers, what they would be doing is their genius. They would be making a living from their genius. The problem is we don't know how to do that. And so that actually came about after I almost lost it all for the second time. And I don't know how far you want me to go into that, but I'm transparent, but I almost lost it all when my mortgage business collapsed during the financial crisis of 07 and 08. Mm-hmm. And I had to figure out, I'm laying on the couch looking at the ceiling one day or one evening, and I had to figure out, man, I'm about to lose my home, my cars, everything. Mm-hmm. How am I going to make a comeback, and what is it going to look like? So I started thinking about the things that I like to do. I started thinking about the things that I didn't want to do. I didn't want to have 50 employees anymore at a mortgage business. I didn't want to have a $10,000 a month rent in Center City, Philadelphia. I didn't want to have $150,000, $80,000 a week payroll. I didn't want to have to be in the office all the time. What did I want? I wanted flexibility and freedom to be able to spend time with my wife and my kids. Mm-hmm. I want to have an unlimited income. And so I just thought, I'm like, well, what do I like to do? What am I passionate about, and what am I good at, and how can I combine or intersect those and make money? And so the podcast Black Entrepreneur Blueprint wasn't designed to make money. It was just something cathartic where I was sharing my journey, and it turned into a whole ecosystem. And that's really how that concept started, was me being at the bottom, in the mud, trying to figure out how am I going to rise again and what is that going to look like?
Wow. So I know you were in corporate America for a portion of your life.
Oh yeah.
What was the final straw?
Oh man. So man, the final straw was I saw myself. I was at Merrill Lynch and as a stockbroker, they're financial advisors now, but as a stockbroker at the time, and I just saw myself doing something that I wasn't really happy with doing. I was actually chasing the money, and I've always had like side hustles, even as a kid. I'd always had some side hustles going on, and it just got to the point where there's an old saying that says change is never made until the pain of staying the same outweighs the pain of change. Change is never made until the pain of staying the same outweighs the pain of change. And that's what happened to me. I just got to the point where I was a zombie. I was a corporate zombie, going to work, doing something I didn't really enjoy, working with people I didn't really, vibe with. And I just said, there's got to be a better way. And it wasn't any one incident per se. It was just a culmination of things over time. So, yeah.
So what would your advice be to somebody who's at that place where they are like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not vibing with this company. This can't be my calling, because I go home every day. I'm not happy. I don't feel fulfilled. But at the end of the day, these kids got to eat. My wife got to eat. What would be your advice to them?
First thing I always talk about is you got to have some type of plan, and it doesn't have to be a 300-page business plan, right? It could be on a napkin, not that, but you got to have some type of plan. So the first thing I would say is try to figure out how you plan on making money. The next thing you want to do is, based on whatever type of business or endeavor that is, what are the tools that you need to be successful doing that? Then you have to figure out, you want to leverage your job, even though you hate it, leverage your job for the resources so you can create the space where you can then step out on your own. And I'll give you a real life scenario. I told you guys I've owned over 17 businesses. One of the businesses was an alarm company. And so while I was working in corporate America, because what happened, I went out one time and worked out for about 3.5 years. I had to jump back into corporate for about 6 months, came back out again, and I was done. But what happened was I started an alarm business, and I was an ADT dealer in Philadelphia. And I needed an office, I needed desks, computers, phones, and all of that. So every time I got paid, I would say, okay, the office space, the rent was this much. All right, let me put that away 3 months, first month, last month, and a month security. I need desks. So every time I got paid, I would buy the tools that I needed to open that business. And the day that I quit on a Friday, I gave them a 2-week notice, but I was in sales. So they were like, don't even come back. We'll give you the next 2 weeks. And that Monday, I turned the lights on to my new office, completely furnished. I had already started running help wanted ads for telemarketers and salespeople. And so I think you want to look at a process. It's not, hey, boss, guess what? I don't like you. I'm quitting today. Don't do that. You got to set it up. You got to set the runway up and create the process, because I was ready to make money literally day one when I walked in that office. And so I think it's a plan. You need to plan it out strategically, whatever that may be.
Right. So you left corporate America and you started, all these businesses and whatnot. What has given you the passion to really leverage all your platforms and everything you do to really influence and inspire the Black community? Like, where'd that passion come from?
Well, I always knew at a young age that I was designed for something bigger than just working in corporate America, to hopefully influence people. So I think that was just something innate. And I never knew that it would be this, but I always had a love for my people. I always had a love for justice, and I always had a love for economic empowerment, being able to control, your own destiny. And so I think all of that came from just growing up, seeing my dad as an entrepreneur. And it's funny about my dad, he was an entrepreneur, but he wasn't successful. He had a business and he lost it, and he never jumped back on the wagon. Successful business for about 8 years. Some things happened. He was in a different place in his life at the time. And he always said, he said, son, he said, one of my worst regrets is I never got back on the horse. But in terms of what I'm, trying to influence the Black community right now, that actually, Jarvis, was a process of all of my experiences. And it culminated when I said, hey, when I make this comeback, this is what I want to do. This is who I want to talk to. And this is the market I want to serve. It had always been there, but it just, I guess, wasn't the right time for it to come out in the form of the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint podcast and the whole ecosystem. So I knew it was there. And I used to do a lot of, charity stuff. I used to tutor kids. I used to teach entrepreneurship to adults in programs. So I would always do that, but I never did it on my own platform. And I think it really was just a culmination of all my experiences and being at the right time where I was looking to come back. And I said, I got to come back as my true self,
I love it. Yeah. So for those of you that are not familiar with his podcast, on his podcast, he gives away content that a lot of people would charge for, information that can be transformational for your situation. If you go back in the archives of his podcast and you're not inspired to start some type of business or have enough information to dig in and do a little more research and start that business yourself, you just ain't got it in you, because the information he's given is more than enough to get you started. So I highly recommend. I know we're going to give all your away everything at the end, all your contact information and how to find you and everything, but that podcast is incredible. Actually, one of my favorite podcasts of yours, you were interviewing this gentleman, and he ended up owning like this janitorial company, service.
Yeah.
And he said something that was so powerful, that stuck out, man. I revisit this one a lot, but he said, you have to realize that your job will never pay you what you're worth.
Yeah.
And so that's why that was like his inspiration to start the janitorial service himself, because now he's going in doing the same thing he was doing for a fraction of that cost.
Yep.
And now he's becoming a millionaire off of this. He became a billionaire, right?
No, I don't think he became a billionaire. Ron, what's Ron? Ron is actually the head of the, oh gosh, I can't remember. It's the chamber, the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
I forgot Ron's last name off the top of my head, but yeah, he had owned a very large janitorial business in multiple states, and multi-million-dollar business. Yeah.
And what he did was what he was doing that was his corporate America job.
Yep.
But then it became a skill of his, and he figured out how to, hey, I can buy my own mops, I can buy my own brooms, I can buy my own supplies. Yep. I can market myself to these rich communities that'll pay me what I'm worth. Exactly. And I can charge them because my services are going to be great. So even if you don't think you have like this passion or like, think about what you're doing right now.
Yep.
Can I do what I'm doing right now independently?
Exactly.
And provide a better quality of life for myself and my family based on the skill? Because here's how I've always looked at corporate America jobs, especially if it's a corporate America job that's pretty decent. Like if it's a sales job, if it's, whether you're in human resources, no matter what kind of corporate America job you have, your customer service, whatever it is, you're getting a skill.
Right.
And so you should look at your job as like this paid internship to train you to go do. And that's exactly what that brother Ron did. Yeah. He let this other corporate company train him on how to clean, how to do everything. And then this brother say, you know what? I can do this for myself.
That's it.
So I don't think he grew up thinking, hey, I'm gonna own a janitorial company.
Right.
But he said, I'm a pretty damn good janitor. So let me go on. You get what I'm worth for being a janitor.
That's
so it. I think that's a way that as, you know, because I don't think any, I don't think any Black person that's true to themselves is really happy reporting to a corporate America job day in and day out, listening to folks try to tell you what you're not doing right, or you need to stay late and finish this report, and your kids need you at home, your wife needs you at home, your husband needs you at home. Like,
it's bad feeling.
I don't think so. You know, so Black people, be real with yourself. Like, am I really happy here? And like Jay said, that does not, we are not advocating for you to walk in your boss's office right now and say, you know what, I ain't happy. That's not what we're saying. But we're saying, just dig deep, deep. Think about what you can do. Think about what skill set you have. Think about what you're passionate about. I mean, you may not be able to have a career if all you're passionate about is rap music. Right. Because we got enough rappers. Right. So what's your skill set? Tap into the skill set a little more.
You got it. But let me just add this to what you're saying, man. And you spot on. So one of the things I always tell people is, if somebody is paying you, that means you have value. So if you're a janitor, as we use, somebody's paying that janitor, that means that person has value to that organization. So if somebody is paying you, I don't care if it's $5 an hour or $50 an hour, you have value. So figure out a way you can take that value and harness it for yourself and create your own income or create your own revenue streams.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So the rebuilding the Black Wall Street. So just give us your high level thoughts on us rebuilding the Black Wall Street.
You know, the old trick has always been played. So when unfortunately, when Black folk got things going on, you know, white supremacy always tries to come in and tear it down. So they talking about we're always sucking blood from the white community. We created our own community in Tulsa in Black Wall Street, doing better than a lot of the white inhabitants of that area. And so they used a fake incident between Dickie Rowland. Just so people aren't familiar, Dickie Rowland was a young brother that went into in downtown Tulsa in an elevator. The elevator operator, Sarah Page, was in the elevator, and supposedly he tripped going into the elevator and touched her arm trying to grab himself. He cried, you know, oh, this guy's attacking me. He hauls it out. They bring him back. Big confrontation at the courthouse. And then that night and the next day, that's when they tore down Black Wall Street. But the concept is bet on yourself and do for self. And so Black Wall Street was a 36 square block physical area. Today we're in an internet based world. So it's the world is literally at your fingertips with your phone right here.
Right.
So the concept of my book, A New Black Wall Street, and the subtitle tells you circulating the Black dollar worldwide by building successful e-commerce businesses. So commerce now can be conducted on your cell phone. So instead of playing around, creating new TikTok dance videos and all of that type of stuff, start utilizing the technology to help build and support Black-owned businesses, because now it's a worldwide Black economy. So you could be in Ghana, and if you have some Black soap that I like, I can go online and order that original real Black soap from Ghana. You don't have to be there. And I think it's a conscious effort for us to start building and supporting Black-owned businesses and leveraging the technology that we have and use more than anybody else. You know, Twitter, we're on social media more than anybody. Statistics show, Nielsen shows. And so start using that technology to build and support Black-owned businesses, because now we don't have to be in Tulsa to go to that grocery store to buy this product. We can buy it from anywhere. And I think if we just made a concerted and conscious effort to do that, we'd be in a whole lot better place, brother.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things is that the support of the Black business, right? We don't go out of our way to support Black businesses. And that's where the huge problem is. I love the fact that you started this website called the Black Freelancer.
Oh, hire Black
Black Freelancers. So we don't have to go to Fiverr to fine, and we can connect with Black people, or I'm sure there's some Black people on Fiverr,
Yeah.
but this is exclusively to us. So
Yep.
that's Black Wall Street moves.
Yeah.
And then
Be Smart Buy Black too. That's the
right, exactly.
Yep. For Black.
Tell them about Be Smart Buy Black.
Yeah. So the two platforms, it's funny, they're tied into the book. So when I was writing A New Black Wall Street, I literally stopped in the middle of the book because I'm talking about building a worldwide Black economy, building and supporting Black-owned businesses. And I said, man, there are other platforms out there that do the same thing that I'm talking about, but I don't want to be beholden on those platforms. So when I'm giving people actionable steps, I want them to be able to effect that action. So I stopped the book in the middle. I'm like, man, I got to build some platforms here. So the first one was BeSmartBuyBlack.com, which is a platform for Black product producers that want to sell their products to Black consumers worldwide. So it's free to upload your product information, and other people can shop and buy your products worldwide. Same thing with hire Black freelancers. I was looking for a videographer in Philadelphia. My normal guy wasn't around, and I couldn't find one. I was doing an event. And so I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. All of these Black folk in Philly, and I can't find a Black videographer. So I said, you know what? Let me create a site for freelancers. So I created hireblackfreelancers.com. So once again, it's free. You can upload your contact information, and you can get jobs from businesses and Black individuals that want to hire Black freelancers. So I just felt it was necessary not just to talk about the concept of a new Black Wall Street, but give people the ability to actually effect that and do that. Get business from other Black folk and circulate that dollar in our community. So that's really where they came from, me writing the book.
Nice. I think now is such a pivotal time, coming off of, everything that happened in 2020 with Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and the stuff that's been happening way before that, the Alton Sterling's, it's such a pivotal time to really affect change. And one of the biggest changes is affecting where we spend our money.
That's it.
Because as long as we continue to support all these white companies or white-owned companies, they don't have to respect us. And we
Right.
cannot always be waiting on, a president or whatever to try to change things for us, because we have everything we need in our own community.
Definitely.
There was a graphic I saw on social media probably a couple years ago, and it showed every different community, and it showed how long the dollar lasted in every community. And the Asians, their dollar stays in their community almost a whole month.
Yep.
So that means they don't, until about day 24, they finally go and they eat at,
Right.
a steakhouse or something.
Yep.
But other than that, they buy their groceries with them. They get their nails done. All that stuff is in-house. Meanwhile, our direct deposit hit 6 hours later. We already spent our money at McDonald's.
That's what I talk about. Yeah, it's gone. It's gone.
So it's such a pivotal moment to really protect our dollar and be intentional with how we're spending our money. Right. And Jay has these two platforms where you have no excuse not to be connected to somebody Black that has something, because no matter what you need, not just Jay's platforms, we got the WeBuyBlack.com where they connect you with all kind of it's so many resources now.
Yep.
Huh?
There's a lot of platforms like that.
It's crazy. And it's so many Black businesses that we don't even realize. I'm here in Houston, and man, we got so many Black restaurants. It's crazy. You name it. I mean, everybody heard of Turkey Leg Hut and all that, but it's so many more restaurants. It's probably 70 Black-owned restaurants that I can list out. And so there's no reason unless we're not being intentional. Exactly. So whatever kind of food you want, there's even a place called Trill Taco. So we don't even have to eat. We don't even have to eat Mexican-owned Mexican food. So it's so much. Trill Taco.
Oh man.
So it's so many. There's really no excuse for us not to be more intentional in 2020. And I get that. Hey, sometimes I know you've seen you had Killer Mike on your show not long
Yeah.
ago. I'm sure you saw Trigger Warning where he
Oh
tried
man.
to spend a whole day, a whole
Yeah.
3 days buying nothing but black. And I get it, it's tough. But
Tough. It's tough.
he had to one of my favorite parts is when he went and slept in the park bench because he was like my he was like, my ancestors built this country. Like, that's reaching, but hey.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
I'll
funny.
take it. I'll take it.
Oh, that's
But
funny.
anywho, so anyway, back to 2020, man. 2020 brought some unique challenges. We talked about, the social justice movement and whatnot,
Mhm.
but the pandemic hit, and it was something that I know nobody planned for. I didn't even know there was such thing as pandemic insurance
Me
until
neither, bro.
until last year, because it's something that we hadn't seen, in over a century.
Right.
So as a business owner, how were your businesses affected? How did you have to pivot as a business owner to ensure that your businesses don't sink?
That's a great question, brother. Luckily, the only faction of my business that suffered is my speaking, because I literally was on a tour when that came out. The
Mhm.
pandemic. I was scheduled to be in Charlotte and in a couple other cities right before they shut everything down for the most part. But the rest of my business is more e-commerce based business. So I did one episode titled Indestructible Income, right? So indestructible income is income where people can't sabotage it or take it away from you. So I always like to say, and you're not going to start off like this, but if you have an income stream in a good economy, a bad economy, and a neutral economy, you're going to have money either way. So for example, if you're a lawyer and it's a good economy, right? People buying houses like crazy. I mean, you could switch your practice over to, doing settlements or closings. All right. It's a bad economy. People are losing jobs. You can be a foreclosure attorney or bankruptcy.
Mhm. Right.
Yeah. So, and in a neutral economy, that's just the norm right there. But you want to have multiple streams of income, and unfortunately, like you said, bro, with the pandemic, nobody saw that coming. But what I'm hoping is that people understand and realize now what can happen, and that they prepare for that. And so, one of the easiest businesses, and I talk about it all the time, not easy, but it's a low barrier to get into, is e-commerce of some form or fashion. And you can do that while you have a full-time 9 to 5 job. So you always want to have multiple streams of income. And if the pandemic hasn't taught taught anybody that, I can't help you.
Exactly. You just
Can't
ain't
help
got
you.
it. You
Yeah,
just ain't
you
got it.
just ain't got it, right? you know.
So, everybody sees, Jay Jones, the serial entrepreneur, the podcaster, and all that, and see the success.
Mhm.
Talk about your struggles along the way. Like, what struggles did you have, and just talk about how you overcame those struggles,
How
or
much
what.
time you got, man?
Hey, man, as long as you got.
All right. So I'm very transparent on the show, right? On my podcast. And I think that's one reason I don't come on like I'm some guru. I'm sharing my experiences, ups, the downs, the good and the bad. So I almost lost it all twice. So I'm gonna give you the mountains right there. So I had just jumped out of corporate, and I have 3 kids, Taylor, Erica, and Aaron. And my youngest son was diagnosed with brain cancer at 6 months old. So I had literally just left corporate America for this. I created a marketing company, and I was doing trade shows and expos. So my son was diagnosed with brain cancer, and he battled for 11 months before he passed. And so my wife at the time was a school teacher, and her income and her benefits were really, that was whole. I just started, so when a new business, man, your thing is like that. And so when my son was sick, my wife had to stop working, and I have a new fledgling business that's not making any consistent money, pop here, pop there. And so what happened was when my wife stopped working, then, you know, we had to pay Cobra, you know, pick up the insurance. I was behind on everything, man, and it was crazy. And that's the first time we almost lost it all until I was able to get back on my feet. The second time I mentioned at the opening of the show was when I had my mortgage business doing
with the recession.
millions of dollars a month. And you know, it was a point where, like I said, I'm laying on the couch, my wife and kids are sleeping, you know, I'm over there staring at the holes in the ceiling, not holes, but, you know, in the ceiling, wondering how am I going to keep all of this together. And so I think what got me through it were two things. Number one, my faith. I'm a Christian, so my faith got me through it. I knew I just had to hold the course, and I was going to come out, you know, I was going to come out the other end. I wasn't going to come out the same, which sometimes is a good thing. I came out different. And I think that transition through the fire is what honed me, because you learn a lot more, I think, from your mistakes a lot of times, or your downfalls, than you do
Absolutely.
from the positive stuff. So I was able to recognize and understand, you know, hey, I've gone through this for a reason. I didn't know exactly what the reason was then. I know what it is now. And that reason was to share my experiences with others. And so I just always had a strong belief that I was going to be successful, because I looked at some successful people and I'm like, they're really not much smarter than me, if at all. So if they can figure it out, I know I can figure it out if I put my mind to it. And so being able to fight through that, and I'm gonna tell you now, there were days where, you know, it's like, man, I don't even want to get out of bed. But I got up and I kept doing what I was doing. So I always looked at taking small steps. So the old adage, how do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time. Taking small steps in the right direction to the right result. So you don't want to take steps going somewhere that's not going to produce the results that you want. What are the steps that you need to take to produce the results that you need? And that's what I'm pretty good at, focusing and locking in, and not sometimes looking at the big picture, but focusing on what small steps do I need to do to get to the next point. All right, look, my credit is jacked up, my money is all messed up. First step is I got to stabilize. What do I need to do to stabilize? Get my mortgage paid, get my, you know, car notes back on, keep the lights on. Step one. All right. Step two. Now I got to start building revenue streams. What am I going to do? How am I going to do that? What does that look like? And you start small steps. You don't get into situations. Well, my situations didn't happen overnight, and I didn't expect to get out of them overnight. So I think you have to have a plan, and you need to be honest, bro. You need clarity. And sometimes it's real hard to get clarity and to think when you got so much stress on you, but you just need to get clarity and figure out what are the steps to get me to this point. Then you start doing it again to the next point. So don't try to solve all your problems in one day, because it ain't happening. But my faith and my determination, and one thing my wife always says about me, she said, man, you figure things out. She said, you like MacGyver, you'll figure it out, right? You know what I mean? And that's one of my talents or blessings. Sometimes, you know, I don't care if you're Christian or whatever. I don't care. To me, there's a higher power. So that's just but sometimes you just need to breathe, be still. And so what happens for me is, a lot of times my solutions for the problems I go to bed with will come to me in the morning. I stop thinking about them, but when I wake up, I'm like, okay, this is what I need to do. So you got to figure out how you process things, and be cognizant of what's worked for you in the past, and keep doing that, but always have that faith, and surround yourself with people that know and love you and support you, not tolerate you, but support you. Because when you're going through stuff like that, you got to have that support. You know what I mean? And sometimes, I hate to say it, the support might not even be in the house with you. It might not be your wife or your husband or your partner or whatever. So, so be cognizant of who people are. People fall into different categories. And I did a show, family, friends, foes, and fools. And a lot of them can hit multiple categories.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can have a family member that's a fool.
That's a fool.
Right, right. So you got to know who they are. But I would just say in a nutshell, man, you gotta have faith, and you have to have an action plan, and know that, you know, today isn't the rest of your life. You could have screwed up and lost it all, but guess what?
Right.
You can get it back if you understand
Right.
what you did wrong.
That's so true.
Yeah.
So, you know, I heard you talk about your family. I heard you talk about faith.
Mm-hmm.
Does Jay Jones have a mentor, or do you have somebody that you look up to, or that kind of has guided you?
Oh, I got several, man. One of my mentors passed away unexpectedly. My man George Curry, good brother, man. He died about a year and a half ago. He's my biggest mentor, was my biggest mentor. And then I have, I guess what you could say, contemporaries, or almost like an advisory group that,
Mm-hmm.
not formal, but that I run things by, about 4 or 5 people
Mm-hmm.
that I usually run things by. Some people are experts in this field. Let me go run that to that person. But I'm always learning, though, man. So you can't teach if you don't learn. So I'm a voracious reader. I love information. So I'm always looking at, and I can learn from anybody, man. But I just
Mm-hmm.
kind of have a small, like, advisory board of tried and true people that have you know, been with me, or you know, for a while, that understand what I'm trying to accomplish, and they've been successful in their own right in different fields.
Okay, that's good stuff. So, you know, when with being an entrepreneur, you know, so it's different. You know, when you work in corporate America, as long as you don't get fired, you know, every other Friday you got something hitting your direct deposit.
That's it.
As an entrepreneur, you eat what you kill, right? And your family eats what you kill. So you got that going on. You know, as trying to balance family time, trying to stay sane and everything. How do you manage, like, your mental health? Like, what do you do to kind of keep a good, fresh mental health, and kind of keep yourself going?
That's a great question. So in the mornings, right, I'm not gonna say I'm up out of the bed at 5 every morning, but I'm awake by 4:30, 5. I'm awake. And excuse me. So what I'll do is, either if I'm laying in the bed, or I'll get up and I'll come into my living room, and I'll sit down and I'll just think. You know, people may call it meditate. I'll just think, these are the things I already know what I need to do from the night before. I always plan my day the night, at least the night in advance. So I'll just think, these are the things I need to focus on. This is the mindset and mind frame I need to be in. And I'll do some exercise. Now with this, you know, I'm in the Northeast, so this winter is crazy. So I'm not out there running on in the park like I normally do now. But exercise and take time to think and decompress. I think as entrepreneurs, a lot of times we're always going, thinking. Sometimes you got to pull back and just, be still and think. So the 3 things an entrepreneur does is think, create, and execute. Thinking is the easiest, but a lot of times we don't focus on that because we're so busy doing. Creating is a little harder, and the execution is the hardest. But I think you need to take your time, man, and just give yourself 30 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes, or it could be in the evening, depending upon how you function, and just sit back and breathe. Shut your freaking phone off, turn the television off, and just sit there, eyes closed or whatever, just meditate. And I think that's something that helps me move forward, because I got a lot of moving parts that are going on. And but that's just that's the way I function. So that's normal for me. So yeah, so you got to figure out what works for you.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And then before we get out of here, what's like your biggest, what motivates you? What keeps you going? Like, how do you not, say, you know what, to hell with all this. Like, I want to have an easier life, or what keeps you going?
Love, man. Love.
Yeah.
I was motivated. Michael Jordan always said, when his coach cut him from his 10th grade team or whatever, that motivated him. And I used to be the exact same way. I'm going to show you. Oh, you don't think I can do this? I'm going to build this business. And then I started, that wears you out. That taxes you. I said, let me flip that over and turn it to love. I'm doing this because I love my family. I want to build a legacy for my family. I want to help my people. And so that love is what motivates me. So when I think about what I can do for, you know, the Black community, I mean, you're my brother. You know, you just like me. You're my brother. You know, somebody else, that's my sister. So what can I do to be able to help impact the community that I love? I love everybody, but I especially love you. You know what I mean? Because you just like me. And so that love is what motivates me. And I've said this on the show several times. One of my favorite uncles passed away and of cancer. This was years ago. And I asked my aunt, and we were talking one day. I said, what did Unc say, you know, before you transition? And she said his last words were, did I contribute? He said it twice. Did I contribute? And that always stuck with me. So on his way, his transition, he wanted to know, did he help others? Did he contribute to other people? And that always stuck with me. And so I always want to be able to contribute to the positive for our community. So everything that I do, yeah, I'm a businessman. You know, of course, I'm in business to make money, but that's not the overarching concept that drives me. The true thing that drives me is a love for my people and a love to be able to share my experiences and to help others elevate if they're looking, you know, to build and grow their business. That's what drives me, man.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Man, I appreciate you, man. So thank you so much for joining us today. Jay, tell the people, you know, all these awesome resources you have,
All
all your social media handles and everything. Let people know where they can find you. And of course, I'll post it in the description of everything. But
cool.
let the people know where they can find you.
Whew, see if I can remember all of them. All right. So I'm gonna give you a catch-all site, right? But then I'll break it down. If you go to bebconnect.com, that's like Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, bebconnect.com. And on that site, it's a page on my site. You'll have all my social media links and you'll have all of my resource links. So Facebook, you can go to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Instagram, JayJones, JayJones, the number 4, REAL. Twitter, JayJones001. If anybody's on what's the new the audio thing?
Clubhouse.
Clubhouse, yeah. At Clubhouse, I'm at IAmJayJones. You can go, that's my social media. BEB Connect is really where you need to go. Now, for all the other stuff, my book, A New Black Wall Street, that's anewblackwallstreet.com. I also have a Black Entrepreneur Blueprint Academy where I have all my courses and trainings. So you can go to bebacademy.com. I also have another program, which if you want to look, get into e-commerce, it's called Brand Builder Academy Elite, bbaelite.com. That actually corresponds with the book, A New Black Wall Street. Hireblackfreelancers.com. If you're a freelancer, besmartbyblack.com. And I think that's pretty much it. But just go to bebconnect.com and all of that information that I just said and the links will be there for you.
All right. Well, thank you, brother, for being here. Folks, if you reach out with me, I'm on Instagram, JarvisSam_. You can go to jarvissam.com. I house all my podcasts and all my content there. As always, thank you for joining us for another awesome show. Again, special thank you to Jay Jones for joining us. Awesome dialogue, awesome content. I hope you were inspired by everything that he shared with us today. And we will catch y'all next week.
Can I say something real quick, brother? I just want to thank you for allowing me to share on your platform, man. I checked out a couple of your podcasts. You're doing good stuff over there, brother.
Oh,
and, yeah, man. Yeah. And I like I said, I'm appreciative of you bringing me on your platform, man. I thank you so much. And I want to thank your listeners and your followers too for sharing this 45 minutes with your brother.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Y'all take it easy.
All right, bro. Cool. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.